Putting an end to globalization and going back to protectionism was one of the key elements in the electoral campaign of President Trump and probably one of the key factors for his success. To that extent, he's keeping the word. The first thing he did on the very first day was that of withdrawing the United States from the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a big trade deal that Obama negotiated and was waiting official approval for the Congress in order to become effective. TPP is essentially an agreement by which there's increasing trade liberalization between 12 countries of the Pacific area. Besides the United States, you have Canada, Mexico, Chile, Peru, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Notice I'm not mentioning China. China is out of the agreement, and as a matter of fact, in the intention of Obama, this was also a way to contain the increasing influence of China in that part of the world. This first move of President Trump is basically a turning point in the commercial policy of the United States, more towards a protectionist direction. Now the question is President Trump right? So do we really need to close our economies if we want to protect domestic jobs or create new jobs? The answer one could give was sure. I mean, this is common sense. Why not? It's clear that increasing import competition, especially from China, has resulted in many companies exiting the market or in a loss of jobs, not only in the United States but also in Europe. But actually, if you look more closely at the data in the United States in the past few years, there's been a growth in manufacturing jobs, not only in services. The real thing is that as we think about the consequences of trade liberalization for domestic companies, there are two different sides of the coin as usual. So on the one hand, it's true that we are increasing the competitive pressure on companies, and some companies may exit from the market or anyway downsize, so fire people. On the other hand, you're also creating more business opportunities for selling products and services on the foreign markets, or even for sourcing intermediate inputs and services from abroad, and these can help the domestic companies becoming more competitive, not only at home, but also in the international markets. It's hard to believe that US companies can keep up the same level of competitiveness if the US become increasingly close with respect to the rest of the world. And it's also hard to think that President Trump, or anyway the administration, is not aware of that. Actually, my expectation is, more than a real closing of the US economy with respect to the rest of the world, we might see a redefinition of the US trade policy with emphasis shifting more from these large-scale multilateral agreements where the US is with many other countries in the same trade bloc towards more bilateral trade deals of the United States with a single country at a time. The idea there is that of making the US bargaining power count as much as possible in order to obtain favorable conditions in the trade deals. And we have already two signals in that direction. One is the offer to the UK, to Theresa May, of a fast trade deal right after Brexit. And the other one is this attitude that Donald Trump is showing of indifference, if not even hostility, to the European Union, which is anyway the largest trading bloc in the world. It's somehow surprising that this kind of attitude gets a lot of enthusiastic support also in the European Union.